Hello, everybody. It's lovely being here. I'm grateful for the invite. It's a sunny, nice day to be here today as well. So we heard earlier the story about Anansi the spider and how stories weren't just kept up in heaven, and there's more stories all around. I will be telling you another story today, but this time we're going a bit to the east. So there's the Akan Ashanti tribes in Ghana, and then there's Togo, and then there's the Republic of Benin, and then there's Nigeria. So that's where we're going. And in exploring this topic of negotiation as a spiritual discipline, I will be sharing a section of the creation story among the Yoruba people. And creation stories, as I like to view them, are not just stories. They are templates, if you will. They suggest a template of how the world works, like the source code from which everything else is built upon. So as I tell you this story, I hope you enjoy it, and then we would come back together and then explore negotiation as a spiritual discipline. Are you with me? Yeah. Good, wonderful. All right. So, several eons ago, Olodumare, the Yoruba word for God, means the one who owns eternity. So not just that God is eternal, but God is the source of eternity. And he was living in, I say he, but gender doesn't matter in the Yoruba culture as much. So Olodumare was in heaven with 401 deities. These deities included Ogun. Ogun was a craftsman, a man of war. I say man again, don't take that too seriously. And then there was Shango, all about fire, also the god of thunder. There was Oshun, she's the goddess of fertility and love. Ishu is the god of the crossroads. So if you think anytime you're trying to make a decision, you don't know what to do, someone did something you don't like, should I revenge or should I just forgive them? Ishu is that god right there at the crossroad. Doesn't necessarily help you figure out stuff, but once you figure it out, Ishu will help you do whatever you want done. So there are so many of them like that, 401, and several other spirits. They were having their time of their lives in heaven, and eventually they decided they wanted more company. So they wanted to create more beings. They wanted more plants, more animals. They wanted humans. And Olodumare agreed to that. So they landscaped the heavens, made humans, but very quickly it just felt a little bit much. There were too many beings running all over this place. And so the deities decided to move humans to a different location for better administration. And Olodumare, as you will tell, is a very kind of chill being in this worldview, and Olodumare was fine with that. And so they made plans. They decided they were going to move heavens to the earth and, established a colony for them there. But there was just one problem. The earth at the time, actually a couple of problems. The earth at the time was covered in flood. So it wasn't a suitable place for humans just yet. But more importantly, there was one deity in particular, Olokun. Olokun, she was the only one of the deities that didn't stay in heaven with the rest of them. She liked to be alone, so she was enjoying herself on earth, in the oceans. She's the goddess of the seas and the oceans. She had a studio. She was into bead making, craft. She was also the goddess of beauty. She was rich. And she enjoyed herself there. And so while they were making all these plans, she overheard them making these plans. And quite frankly, she felt insulted because nobody asked her what she wanted, if she was fine with the plan, if this would be good for her. Nobody was talking to her about it. And she just overheard them making these plans. And again, Olodumare, just being the all-knowing, all-wise, full of all the splendor and knowledge of the world, cautioned the deities and told them, your plans sound great, it's all fine by me, but somebody needs to go talk to Olokun. Give her the heads up, seek her opinion about this. The deities didn't mind doing that, but the issue was it's been such a long time that they've seen her, spoken to her, and it's like, okay, will she agree, will she disagree, who should go talk to her? And so they asked the oracle. Emiyaku, iwoyaku, oyaku dimeji, odiji. The oracle said, the success of this project, talking to Olokun and moving humans, depended on the messenger. So they asked the oracle again, who should they send? The oracle said to send the chameleon. The deities were like, first of all, the chameleon is just a regular animal, it's not a deity, has no special powers. Like, what could it possibly do? We all know Olokun she doesn't play. So, of all beings, why the chameleon? But then all these deities also know that the oracle doesn't lie, and the oracle knows best. And so they invited the chameleon. They told the chameleon what the task was. The chameleon was scared, but was also like, all right, if that's what you all want, fine. But can I at least have a companion to go with me? Olodumare was like, sure, choose whoever you want. The chameleon chose a snail. The deities were like, okay. It would take these two guys forever to get to Olokun. Like, we need to move this project along, please. And so they went to Olodumare and asked, could we at least, allow them to get there fast so they could go talk to her quickly and we can move on? And, Olodumare was like, all right, fine, do that. So they granted the snail the powers of speed. And off they went. The chameleon and the snail travel to Olokun's palace. They got there. The chameleon got off from the snail, prostrated flat in front of Olokun. Your Majesty, may you reign forever. I bring greetings from Olodumare, the 401 deities, the 4,000,000,001 other spirits and beings that live in heaven. Long may you reign. Olokun was just mostly shocked by how quickly they arrived. And she asked, you came here with a snail, like how could you get here so quickly? And the chameleon said, well, that's the way it is in heaven. Like you wish something, you want something, and amen to that. It happens. Like that's just how it happened. And as the chameleon was speaking, Olokun noticed that the body of the chameleon changed. It was bright. It was light. It looked beautiful, and Olokun was shocked. We all know the chameleon is an ugly animal. How did this happen? She went inside, changed her clothes, added more colors, came back out. And then again, the chameleon, its skin changed, matched Olokun in beauty and colors. She went back inside one more time, added more jewelry, beads, more colors, everything. Came back out. You all know what happened. The chameleon once again transformed and matched her in beauty, colors, light, everything. This really humbled Olokun. If the snail, such a slow animal, could somehow get here in a twinkle of an eye, if the chameleon, such a sluggish, ugly animal, could transform into something so beautiful, maybe there are other things about the world that she doesn't know. So she sat down and asked them why they were there. And so the chameleon explained the projects that the deities were thinking of. They wanted to move humans for better administration, And Olokun said no. This was her studio, this was her territory. She didn't want to give it up. And then the chameleon asked, why not? What is at stake for you in all of this? And then there was a pause. And then she said, these humans you want to bring over, quite frankly, I don't like them. They're messy, noisy, and many of them, they lie, they steal, they hurt one another. What if they come into my palace, steal my jewels? What if they pollute my waters? What if, several things could go wrong here. The chameleon asked her, what kind of assurance do you need from the deities to make this project possible? Olokun said, well, I don't mind giving you a small portion to use, but it's just that small portion. These humans need to respect my boundaries. They don't mess with me. I retain my powers to punish as I see fit. And she went on with her demands. And the chameleon said, okay, fine, we will let the deities know. And so the deities agreed to her suggestions, to her demands, and that was how the project was able to go succeed, and that's how we find humans on this side of the universe. Negotiation as a spiritual discipline. I don't know what the word negotiation brings up in your mind. For me, it's two main things. One, it's like, in all those movies, all the hostage crisis situation, and they have to bring the negotiator guy to come get the civilians out so they can catch the bat. That's one connotation that comes up for me. The other one is in a corporate setting when the guy is like, you have to pay me $150,000. And the other guy is like, no, 100 and 120, deal. That's the other thing that comes to mind for me. But as a spiritual discipline, this story that I've just told tells us a bit more things. First of all, to expect difference. To expect difference. To show up in the world knowing that the other person is nothing like you. To expect difference. In my day job at Lawrence, the title is long, but sometimes, I'm just working as a chaplain in a confidential capacity, and sometimes it's conflict resolution stuff. And the number of times that people show up and it's like, oh, so-and-so did this and that, and how could they do that, and how would they think that way, and da-da-da-da, and I'm like, maybe because they're different from you. I mean, why shouldn't someone else behave differently from you? Expect difference. The second thing here is to meet difference with humility and curiosity. So if you think of, yes, Olokun has her own priorities and goals, and the chameleon asking the questions, what does this mean to you? Tell me more. To meet difference, not to avoid it, because that's the other thing that I think people like to do. The deities could have still gone ahead with the project and just hope she doesn't say anything or do anything or wait till it all falls apart. But no, to meet difference with humility and curiosity. The third thing here that I'd like to point out is to find out what is at stake for the other person. So if you remember, the chameleon comes, looks beautiful, she changes her clothes, and then he looks more beautiful, and then she changes, and then he looks more beautiful. I feel like that's what I get in the movies a lot, where it's like, the guy says something, and then the other guy says, did you just call me chicken? And then it's a showdown, and then the winner, takes all, and then the guy who loses is just like sorry for himself, and everyone is booing the guy. Like, no. No, it's easy to get distracted by the fluff and all the showdowns. But if there was a way, as we think of applying this practice of negotiation as a spiritual discipline, if there was a way to not be distracted by all the fluff and really get down to what is at stake here for you. This is like one of my magic questions when I'm talking to someone and they're like, oh, this and that, and he said it, she said it, and they did it. Why is this important to you? What is at stake for you in this? There's always that pause. And then the conversation really starts. And finally, to prioritize win-win outcomes. One of the things I really love about the Yoruba worldview is it's not set up as like this good versus evil and the good guys win at the end. There is the saying tibitire la fidaliaye, which basically means both good and evil are the building blocks of the world. They're not so much, they're opposites, but complementary opposites, if that makes sense. So this idea of focusing on what works for every single party involved as much as possible is always the recommended approach. Thank you all so much for having me here. As we think of just our lives and just our world, like I'm not even going to get into the politics of things right now, but I'm hoping that this story and these lessons from this story add meaning to you, to your life, to the choices you make down the road, as you reflect on the choices made in past decisions. I hope negotiation, this practices of negotiation, can truly enhance us all. Thank you. Blessings.